more important anyway.
Yes, they are. Without the hobbyists, no one would buy.
And now the main feature of our collection, you brought for us 4 Pogues. And in our previous episode, we discussed the gold one. So maybe you can tell us about these 3 others that you brought.
Okay. Well, a brief background on Seiko chronographs. Okay, so back in 1969, okay, there was a race between the Swiss and the Japanese watches.
Right.
Okay, on who could bring out the first chronograph, automatic chronograph.
Yes.
So, the title came out with Zenith. So they came out with the first chronograph, supposedly.
Yeah.
But looking at production dates of Seiko, they had a chronograph, I think, as early as February 1969.
Okay.
So in terms of production, some people say that Seiko had the first chronograph, but in general, most watch people would say it was Zenith.
The El Primero.
Yeah, the El Primero.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, a few years afterwards, okay, I'm sorry. So this watch here, this is the Seiko Pogue.
Yes.
What they call the Seiko Pogue.
Yes.
It's called the Seiko Pogue because it was worn by
Your friend William.
William. Our friend William. Yeah.
Bill.
Yeah, we're close.
Yeah.
William Pogue. Okay, he went up. He was part of the Skylab Skylab projects of NASA. Okay, so in 1973, he went up in space. He smuggled this in with his. he had this the Normals Omega speed timer Speedmaster.
Yeah.
That's right. See,
Yeah, I know you're really into
I'm a Seiko
Seikos.
person.
Yeah, because
So
then if you're the other way around, you say the other thing.
exactly. So he had the issued Speedmaster on one side,
Yeah.
and then he brought his Seiko Pogue, or what we call a Pogue right now,
Yes.
on his other wrist.
Because he was so used to it already.
Yeah. Well, basically back in when he was on ground, when he was still
Yeah.
training, he would use this watch to time for timing purposes.
Yes.
In space, they use it to time engine bursts and
Yes.
things like that. Okay. So he probably out of familiarity with
Yes.
the watch itself, he decided to bring it up.
Yeah.
And because of that, unknowingly, it became the first automatic chronograph that was used in space.
Yes. Yeah.
Unofficially, but historically,
Yes.
what can you do?
Yes. And I think he donated it, and it was auctioned for like $6,000
Or something like that.
or something
Yeah,
like
so-
that.
so-
a few years back.
Well, that actually added to the stir, because since it was a special watch, the first chronograph in
Yes,
space,
yes.
automatic chronograph in space, he donated it, and they auctioned it for charity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So tell us about this. Is I suppose this is called the blue,
Yeah.
and the silver and the black.
Okay, so for me, well, how I see it, the gold one with this specific dial is what we call the true Pogue.
Yes.
Okay, so it's basically the same model which he used up in space.
Yes.
Okay. Everything else, we collectors like to call them Pogues. Okay?
Yes.
Because they share the same case style
Yes,
and all.
yes.
Although there are some variances. With terms of color, there are 4 variations of this. Okay, so we have the the blue Pogue.
Yes.
Some people call it the black Pogue, but if
okay.
because when it photographs and when you see pictures of it, it looks kind of black.
Okay.
But when you bring it out to the light, it's a marvelous blue.
Right.
Yeah. So after the blue, we have the silver Pogue. Okay, the silver Pogue, it's something that you don't see that often.
It has the
Okay.
nice orange.
Yeah, with the orange sweep hand.
Yeah.
Okay. The most common Pogue body watch that I see is basically the blue one.
Okay.
Followed by the gold one.
Okay.
And then the silver one, in terms of rarity, I don't see them in that many quantities.
I think this one
most time.
calls to me because of the black and red.
Okay,
And the,
so
is this orange?
orange, yeah,
Okay.
it is. Okay, so what you're holding right now, that's what collectors like to call the Coke Pogue.
Coke Pogue,
Okay, the
yeah.
blue one we call Pepsi.
Okay.
Yeah, and this one we call the Coke Pogue. Okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The Coke Pogue is it's a JDM model.
Okay.
JDM only.
So we have the
model.
kanji.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a JDM only model. Its bracelet is different from all the other Pogues. So it has the JDM bracelet is different, and it's sought after by most
Is that why you're
collectors.
keeping it?
Actually,
preserving
it's,
it?
it's actually a friend of mine borrowed it.
Oh, okay.
So because he wanted to do something, and so I said, okay, sure, just borrow it for a while. So it didn't make it in time for the shoot.
So how many other Pogues do you have in your collection?
Okay, so with terms of dial designs, I think there are about 1, 2, 3. There are 4 different dial designs.
Okay.
4 different dial designs.
Without the chrono?
For the export. For the export model,
Okay.
all of them are the same.
Okay.
So, but there are small variations. Like we have what we call the proof dial.
Okay.
So on the 9 o'clock part, it says waterproof. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Over here,
Right there.
waterproof. And then afterwards, they came out with probably 1971 or so. There were some legal problems, and they weren't allowed to say waterproof. Okay, so they changed the wording, and it became water resistant.
Okay.
Okay, so for late 70s to 71.
These two don't have any text on them, but this one says sports.
Yeah. Okay, so going to this one doesn't have a text. Sometime in 1970, starting in 1972, they dropped the whole resist and proof on the dial. Okay, so it's not anymore printed on the dial. You can see it on the case back. It says water resistant.
Okay.
Okay, so all of those dials, that's the third variation that I know of for dial types. Okay, so it's what we say the non-proof or non-resist dial.
Got it. Okay.
Now for
Which is more sought after than the proof or the resistant?
in general, people the proof is more sought after for the
I
simple
see.
fact that it's older.
Okay.
So since it's older, it's harder to find at the same time. If with regards to the proof watches, they have a different movement as well. Okay, so the 6139 movement came out in 2 types, 6139A and 6139B.
Okay.
The first movement was A, obviously. And they shifted to B because they made some small differences in the design to make it more durable.
Okay.
So, most collectors that I do know, they try to get the older ones, okay, because they're historically first. Okay. But a nice thing about Seikos is, it's possible to find out the year of production and the month of production that it was produced based on the serial number. The first digit of the serial number will tell you the year that it was produced, and then the second digit will tell you the month that it was produced. For the 6139 and 613 chronographs, they were produced from 1969 until 1978 or 79, okay? Depending on the model. Now, let's say for this Pogue, the first digit is 1 and the second digit is 7. So that, based on the time frame, it was produced in 1971. Month is July.
So if you were born in July 71, hit up Paul if he'll sell you his watch.
So that's one of the appeals of Seiko. It's actually possible to find a watch which was produced during your birth month and birth year.
Yeah.
So we call it BIMB.
Right,
Birth
right.
month and birth year.
Yes.
So it's one of the things that a lot of the Seiko collectors like. There's this you can develop a special connection with your watch because
Yes.
this watch is as old as I am.
That's why those kids that have